Welcome to Self-Led Love with me, your host, Bahia Miller. Together, using the powerful framework of internal family systems, we will take on the spiritual and oh-so-human curriculum of becoming radically responsible for our parts and how they show up and grow up in intimate partnership. I'm so glad you're here. Let's dive in. Welcome back. Today, episode 2, we are going to be talking about triggers. Yes, it's important when we talk about relationships to learn how to more skillfully surf the waves of our triggers. Because it's been my experience that they do keep coming back, but the more skillful we get at learning how to process and navigate our triggers, the better our relationship gets, the better our relationship with ourselves gets. So today we're just going to be talking a little bit about how to start thinking about triggers in this self-led love paradigm. So what do we mean? What do I mean by trigger? Some people don't like the word triggered. They like activated. For me, I don't have any problem with the word triggered. I find it useful, so that's what I use. But if you have something that works for you, feel free to replace this. Triggered is when I'm triggered when something happens, right? It can be in a relationship. It can just be something in life. It can be the state of the world that is deeply triggering to us. It can be even a thought that I think in my own head, and I can trigger myself. And what does it feel like and look like to be triggered? How do we know if we're triggered? Well, emotionally, it might feel kind of like an intense body sensation starts to come alive inside. Maybe we're feeling anxious or defensive, or like we want to get away. We're feeling maybe shut down, rejected, reactive, right? Just some kind of sensation or emotion, just maybe out of nowhere, or maybe it's been building up, subtly inside of us for a while, but it really starts to take over and start running the show. Mentally, this can feel like racing thoughts or like black and white thinking, like they're like this, or it's going to be this or that, and there's nothing in between. It can feel like a desire to fix something or control something or withdraw, right? I know that I'm triggered in my relationship when my mind starts saying, oh, well, maybe this isn't the right relationship for me. Maybe, this is going to be a problem. What am I going to do when this problem stays around, right? My mind starts going to that kind of future tripping and fearful place. We can also kind of start to notice when we're triggered in our bodies, right? When, yes, there's like a fight or flight response, right? Fight, like I want to get into it with you. Flight, I want to get away from you. Also, a lot more subtle, I think, to recognize is a fawn response, which is kind of like people pleasing or the need to make things okay, pacify, just give you what you want, or a freeze response, just completely frozen. I don't even know what to say. And then I think of faint as kind of dissociation. And so there's all these kind of nervous system words that can help us identify when we're feeling triggered. Because to me, feeling triggered is this experience of I'm not safe. This is not okay. I feel scared. I feel not seen. I feel not listened to, not accepted how I am, not loved. All of those things can really cause this activation. And, when I break that down inside of myself, it kind of all traces back to a fear of connection, being not safe or losing connection. And I'm sure there's lots of different varieties of this and that different people have different experiences. I guess in IFS, right, we talk about these trailheads, right? There are certain things that provide a trailhead for us to explore, that there might be a lot of different parts around. And relationships provide a lot of trailheads. It's kind of like constant for a lot of us that there's always something happening. Not always, but a lot of the time. Sometimes it's the same thing that keeps showing up in our relationship. And until we slow down enough to actually look at what's going on here, these triggers will consistently come back into place. Anytime there's a money conversation, I can just, even as I say that, like me and my partner have things around money. A lot of my clients do. I can feel like my stomach just kind of starting to tighten. And so just like last week when we talked about the kind of continuum of self-leadership in relationships, activation also has a continuum, right? Maybe we're aware of it and it's happening, and maybe we're completely blended, taken over by these triggers. And so learning how to know when we are triggered is like step one in relationships. It's really a valuable skill to learn. And for some of us, it's not easy to learn. Some of us, we can say, oh yeah, I was triggered. We can say it in the after times, after a fight or a breakdown, looking back. Some of us, right, can know we're triggered in the moment, in a hard moment in the relationship or in a conversation or in life, and we still can't get out of it. There's a whole kind of spectrum of ways that we can relate to it. But however you start to identify, I was activated there, I was triggered there, right? Then we have this opportunity, right? So triggers are trailheads. And then I want to take this forward into the next place, which is kind of this mindset piece that was given to me by my dear friend and mentor, Ama Castro. And this is that triggers are treasures, okay? Triggers are treasures. What does that even mean? That these trailheads are actually gifts. They're gifts that are given to us to help us do our healing work. That if we can follow our triggers, if we can stay with them and sit with them and unblend from them and unpack them and listen to them, that actually this is the key to our growth and our liberation and building a relationship with ourselves that we can then bring into our partnerships, right? And so when you're in a triggered state, it does not feel like a gift to me. For me, it does not feel like a gift. It does not feel like a treasure. But I just want to wrap this conversation and wrap whoever comes into my world with this kind of awareness that actually our pain and our discomfort, the more we can slow down with it, and titrate that process of slowing down with it, right? We don't need to like go straight and deep and hard and fast into the middle of our pain. But the more we can kind of sit with the edges of it and just get a little bit curious. Okay, what's it like to sit with this? What is this trying to show me? Maybe we get some support, somebody who can sit with us as we tend to the edges and just kind of move a little bit in closer, that this is actually going to be part of the path of liberation. And so yay for triggers, yay to learning how to surf the waves of our triggers and then becoming responsible for them, because so often we think, oh, I'm triggered. It's my partner's fault. I'm triggered. I'm triggered. It's their fault. I'm triggered. It's my mother's fault. I'm triggered. It's the guy at the post office's fault that I'm triggered. It's my kid's fault that I'm triggered. I'm asking us to shift into more self-responsibility. They call it in IFIO, they call this doing a U-turn, right? The U-turn is, instead of looking at the other person and, what they did to us, we just harness our focus and attention and look inside into what exactly is happening here, right? The more we can practice extending curiosity to our experience and understanding ourselves, the more we learn to actually ask for what we need, to set healthier boundaries, to know what people feel good to us, that we want to invest in those relationships, and maybe which people we don't want to invest in those relationships with. So I just want to leave that here today for you, right? This possibility that our triggers are actually the path, that the more we can kind of slow down and learn how to work with them in a skillful way, or get support in learning how to work with them in a skillful way, that we can actually grow and shift and transform, instead of just blaming our partners or the people in our lives for our problems, right? And listen, sometimes we're triggered because there has been a transgression against us. Sometimes, it's not just like, oh, this is just my fault and my problem, right? A lot of the time, that's what happens. Someone yells at us and we feel like triggered or whatever. This is not to condone or make okay another person's behavior and just say that the work all lies within ourselves. But if we actually can slow down enough to understand, like, what just happened? How did that make me feel? Maybe where have I felt this in my life, in other places? What do I need to do to take care of these parts? We can start to feel, what are the parts of myself that are trying to share with me through my body, through my brain, through my emotions. And we can do that work so that we can become more sovereign, so that we can be more independent and clear, and then interdependent by asking for what we need and having those healthy boundaries. So triggers are the gift. And thanks for being here today. If you don't agree with this, feel free to respond, to reach out to me, to give me some feedback and share your thoughts about what you think. This is a living, breathing conversation, and I am always open to hearing different perspectives. And I'm sure that we will spend some episodes talking about more deeply working with our triggers, like the actual how to do that. But just for today, I just wanted to leave you with this kind of mindset piece, this kind of perspective, this zoom out way of looking at these things that are hard. Because it's hard. Relationships are hard. I'm probably going to say it every episode. We want to enjoy our time with the people we live with, the people we love with. It does require that we keep looking inside and, becoming more and more self-led. That's my opinion. That's why I'm here doing this thing. So anyways, thank you for being here. It's good to be with you. Feel free to subscribe to this podcast if you enjoyed it and want to stay on the journey. And if you would like some free goodies from me, you can head over to my website, bahiamiller.com. On the bottom of the homepage, there's an awesome unblending meditation for when you do get triggered. It's a great thing to do to slow down with the edges of those parts. And then I also have a self-led in love checklist that can help you discern what is my work to do in the relationship, what is my partner's work, and what is our work. So it can be really helpful in knowing where to put your focus. So that's at bahiamiller.com/checklist. I'll put this all in the show notes. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Bye.